Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Startup Here, hosted by Entrepreneurship Initiative IIT Chen, also known as EII. So, I am Anurag, and I will be your host for tonight. And today we have a brilliant guest in the form of Mr. Khalid Wani, who has been a TEDx speaker, a serial entrepreneur, a marketing expert, and an investor. So, uh, today we have a brilliant opportunity in front of us, as Mr. Khalid Wani has a brilliant experience in market and can enlighten us and provide us the path to begin our journey in becoming a brilliant entrepreneurs and uh, rule the market. So, without further ado, let's extend a warm welcome to Mr. Khalid Wani and kickstart the engaging session.
Thank you so much, Anurag, for such a warm welcome in such a cold February winter. I would like to thank IIT Gandhinagar for giving me an opportunity today to share my 20 years of experience with all the wonderful uh, leaders of our beautiful country who will be coming out of IIT Gandhinagar. And once again, I would like to thank you for letting me speak on such a crucial topic, which is about entrepreneurship and how to build a startup. And I'm very sure that many of our attendees today all who do wish to be an entrepreneur someday, right? How many of you wish to be an entrepreneur in the coming near future? Could you please, raise your hands so that I know that you're all paying attention to the reaction button. Great. So we will be discussing, how can you build a successful startup? So um, for me, my journey started at a very early age. I was just 16 and we were living in a dial-up internet. We didn't even have a successful, tool like Zoom where I did not have to, come all the way to college to give a session. And for me, because I came with a background where I had no access to privilege, no access to money, no access to, information, knowledge, mentorship. It was not an easy journey for me to begin with. So what I mean, I'm sure a lot of you, would ask yourself, why would you want to be an entrepreneur? For me, being an entrepreneur had to do more with being independent, also to do with, bringing in the change that I wanted to always see around me from a business perspective. Or, back in those days, we never really had the term startup. The startup ecosystem is a relatively new term in the last 5 6 years, and it's become quite fancy. But as tempting as it may sound to a lot of you tuned in today, there are hardships also that come along with it. So before I even jump into discussing this in depth with all of you, please don't hesitate. If you guys have questions, you can always drop in the questions in the chat section, which we will be taking in on later. Since you guys are at a very young phase in your life, I will not be complicating it with the complicated level of information. The whole idea of today's discussion is to simplify it for you. So you know before you start, what is it that you need to keep in mind when you need to build a startup? You need to have an idea, right? So it's very important to have an idea that is definitely going to put an impact on you, on the society. So the idea has to be something that identifies a problem, because if you're not able to influence that level of problem solving ability in the Indian startup ecosystem, which is heavily competitive, you won't be able to survive. But at the end of the day, when you're starting a company, you obviously don't want to keep doing hit and trial by starting one company and then shutting and then starting another company. So it's very, very important for everyone to understand that the idea that you're coming up with currently, I'm sure a lot of you already have ideas, but you need to understand, does that idea really make sense? Is it practical? Am I too early? Am I too late? To take an example, too early would be, say, space tourism, having a startup in space tourism, or say space aerospace. And too late would be, say, having an idea that could be something to do with, say, e-commerce business, right? It's been done and dusted. So you need to come up with an idea which is very much relevant in today's time, since all you budding engineers out there, they could be from engineering, they could be from chemical, they could be from mechanical, they could be from computer science, etc., etc. But what is important to remember is, क्या मेरा आइडिया सोसाइटी में कोई बदलाव ला सकता है? क्या लॉन्ग रन में मैं उतना रेवेन्यू जनरेट कर सकता हूँ? आई होप इट्स ओके विद यू गाइस इफ आई स्पीक इन हिंदी, राइट? देयर आर हिंदी स्पीकिंग audiences here. Can I have a couple of thumbs up so I know everybody's paying attention?
Sure, sir.
All right, thank you so much. So it's important to understand, because you will be putting in a lot of time and effort. You will also be putting in a lot of sacrifices. Some of you may want to drop in college, but I would highly advise to not drop in college, because if your startup does not work out, at least you have your education as a, setback, as a, sorry, not the setback, as a safety net, so that you can take up a job. I know a lot of students in the past have been inspired by some of the biggest leaders in the world who have been a dropout. But then you also need to remember that the success did not come to them overnight. And this might seem very pretty on the outside, but it is very, very tough and ugly on the inside. So the idea is very important, And to know if your idea is good or bad, please feel free to share it with people around you. Don't think that your idea is very unique. Let me assure you, your idea definitely would be there with someone else on the other side of the world. And don't be insecure that आपका idea कोई चोरी करके ले जाएगा. Idea तो idea stage में यार. And to remember, to give a very simple example, Uber is the giant in cab aggregation business, right? But Ola is ruling it in India, right? So please don't think that, if your idea is very unique, I'm sure it is unique, but how do you make it unique is what makes it different, because it's the founders who make the difference in a company. It's the team that makes the difference in a company. So it's important, the idea that you come up with, please discuss it with others before you get into the depth of, doing the market research, which was going to be my second point, in terms of how to build up a startup. So it's important to realize whether you're going in the right direction or in the wrong direction. You could be coming up with a business idea that makes totally no sense, but to you it does, right? So it's very important to be very realistic, learn to take a feedback very constructively, because it's very important for you to understand that not necessarily your idea is going to do something. It may not, right? But then at the end of the day, once you have the assurity that your idea is brilliant, you need to have that conviction, you need to have that perseverance, consistency, because it's not going to do well overnight. It may take you a decade, it may take you a couple of years. And I know in the past 5 years, a lot of competition has been on the fact that which is the fastest growing unicorn. Please don't be under that pressure. I know there is young talent out there, but you have your own journey to, go through. You have your own hardship to go through. So most importantly, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Okay? Because that's a mistake that even I did when I was very young, when I had my very first startup at the age of 16. And maybe I did have the mover's advantage of having an early success, but eventually I did face the reality when I started hitting the wall in terms of not knowing what to do. So it's important for you to find a mentor. A teacher is very, very important, because you're entering into hot waters, you're entering into unknown, uncharted territory where you would have no clue how to go about, because there is heavy competition, there is extremely high level of intelligence amongst other founders, other startups in the business who have cutthroat competition. But what I tell everyone in most of my sessions, that you need to collaborate rather than have a competitive mindset. If you have a collaborative mindset, you will definitely grow. So moving on to the next point, which is a market research. So once you have developed and thought of an idea, you need to do your thorough market research, because you need to understand the needs, the preferences, the behavior of your target audiences, because you will be starting off in India. So you need to keep your Indian demography in mind. You need to analyze the existing solutions and competitions of the exact same business idea that you're bringing to the table. And like I highlighted earlier, it's important for you to validate your idea. You could maybe going in the wrong direction, but if you haven't validated that if your idea is going to do well, so it's important for you to do an initial research by, say, reaching out to people like us, doing a Q&A amongst your friends, amongst your colleagues, do surveys, probably do a pilot before you actually enter into the market, so that you understand, okay, you have a bit of confidence on the idea. and there is a genuine demand for the product or the service that you're bringing in onto the table. And then after that, it's very important for you to come up with a business plan, because the business plan will lay the foundation of what you would want to do in the next year, 2 years, or 3 years, of however long you wish to run your business plan before it reaches, say, a break even or a revenue stage or an MVP stage. Because the business plan is going to be a comprehensive outlining of your mission statement, of your vision, of your target in the market. It would have something like a revenue model. It would have a marketing strategy. It would have a sales strategy. You also need to have a financial projection where you would know that if you need a certain amount of money to run a business, the financial projections will help you to understand where and in what department you need to spend that money. And it's also important to understand, what kind of a unique value proposition are you bringing to the table when you're coming up with that idea. So you need to be very careful when you're articulating that unique value proposition of your startup. And you need to understand how is it solving those specific problems faced by the consumers or the businesses. Your business idea could be business to business, it could be business to government, it could be business to consumer. Since you all are from heavily industrial background, so it's also important for you to understand that the idea could just come out of nowhere, that probably your chai wala in the canteen is suffering from some kind of a supply chain issue, and probably you're coming up with an idea that can resolve that supply chain issue. And you need to then understand that in depth. So there you're bringing a value proposition to someone which can be scaled. And lately, most of the businesses are all about scaling, not how fast, but scaling would bring in the number game, which is the revenue. And then you need to build a really, really strong team, because your employees are your investment. You know, we are raised by the mentality that if you're paying a salary to your employee, it's a form of an expense. No, you need to remember that your team is going to build you the future that you're seeking. And you also need to be open to the fact that you as a founder may not be an expert at marketing, you may not be an expert at business analytics, you may not be an expert at sales, you might be an expert at technology. So please keep your ego aside, understand the fact that if you are the founder, you don't necessarily need to be the CEO. So it's very, very important for you to hire the right people. These people could be older than you, they could be younger than you. So your A team is going to be the team. So the money that you raise definitely should prioritize paying the right amount of salary, because they will drive the company. They will drive the ecosystem. They will drive the blueprint, which you will be projecting in the future, because they will be the backbone of the company. So building a strong team, very, very important. It's make or break moment for any startup. You don't necessarily need to be managing all the departments, because you will burn out after some point of time. And am highly against multitasking. Maybe you can do that in the initial stage, but not at the latter stage of your life. Once your company is a year or 2 year old down in the lane, it's very important to understand your weaknesses and your strength as a leader. And it's all right to accept that you might not know everything, because learning is a continuous process. Also, you cannot start a company without registering it. The most important part is, if you believe in your startup idea, get a company registered. If you have an invention, please remember that you need to get it patented, because the value of the patent is what will help you raise more money in the future. If your idea gets patented by the Indian government and globally, then your valuation will go really high. And that's something that a lot of founders don't remember initially. And you also should also remember to go by the compliances, the regulatory of the Indian penal code, as per the commerce industry. So, you should familiarize yourself with the legal regulatory requirements for the startup in India, um, whether it's taxation or it's intellectual property right or it's data protection laws. Because you might have heard in the news also lately, When the data gets leaked, it's the company that gets responsible. So it's very, very important for all of you tuned in today to understand that you need to follow all the regulation. Then comes to securing funding. How would you secure funding? You have to develop a minimum viable product. You should start small by developing an MVP based on the feedback and all the intricate details we discussed earlier. When you start with an MVP, which means you have a running model, a running revenue stream, you have a balance sheet that you can show to investors in the market, on the basis of which you can justify why are you asking for $1 million at a stake of say 2%. And I'm sure all of you have already been watching Shark Tank for the last 2 3 years, so these terms aren't really new to you. But remember, you don't need to use these heavy complicated words just to sound cool or just to come off sophisticated or complicated, because we as investors do not care about the kind of terminology you use. We only care how genuinely you know about your business idea, how genuine your numbers are, how realistic your approach is towards asking for money, how honest you are. It's an amalgamation of all of these points and many other which we cannot cover today because we have a limited time period. So on these bases, you will end up raising funding. After you have raised fund, what do? Then you have to go to the user experience. You need to create that user experience of your product or your service, because एक हिंदी में कहावत है, जो दिखता है वही बिकता है, right? Your technology may be amazing, but if your marketing isn't great, if your UI UX isn't great, how will you be able to sell it? So your product is as good as, you know, uh, just having the product at home or in your office. So it's very important to have a great design, to have a great user friendly product, to have great services that resonate around the customer base wherever you're launching your business idea. It's also important for you to have a go to market strategy. By go to market strategy, we mean before you launch a product, you need to start promoting it. You need to start educating your consumer about what your product is. If you're not able to simplify, अगर आप आसानी से अपनी जनता को नहीं सिखा सकते कि जो हमारा प्रोडक्ट है वो क्या है, तो वो कहाँ से खरीदेगी? ये जनता आपका बिजनेस भी हो सकता है, गवर्नमेंट भी हो सकती है, कॉमन पॉपुलेशन भी हो सकती है। तो आपका बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जो आपकी ब्रांडिंग हो, चाहे लोगो हो, चाहे आपकी वेबसाइट हो, चाहे आपकी सोशल मीडिया प्रेजेंस हो, वो बहुत स्ट्रांग होनी चाहिए और वो बहुत रियलिस्टिक होनी चाहिए और बहुत सिंप्लीफाइड होनी चाहिए। ये बहुत बहुत ही ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ आपको याद रखनी है। और हमारे देश में देखिए, जितनी ज़्यादा पॉपुलेशन है उतना ज़्यादा सिंप्लीफाई करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। यू शुड ऑल्सो रिमेंबर दैट द इंडियन ऑडियंस एनीवेज ग्लोबली, the attention span of the human in today's time is 5 seconds. I know it's very shocking. And on that note, I would like to, see if everybody is alive, active, they're not yawning. Can I see some kind of a reaction? Because I just want everybody to be engaging. And I will be taking up questions by the end. And I'll also throw in a reaction because I want to be sure that we are all present and active here. Perfect, lovely. Hearts are more preferred, okay, more than the thumbs up, huh? Great. So and then once you've understood the strategy in terms of marketing, you need to cultivate the customer relationship. कितनी बार हुआ है कि आपने स्विगी से खाना ऑर्डर किया और खाना गलत आया है? आपको हमेशा रियलाइज होता है कि स्विगी पे बॉट जवाब दे रहा है और आप में कितनी फ्रस्ट्रेशन मचती है कि आपका रिफंड नहीं आया क्योंकि खाना गलत आया है। और स्विगी को भी ये समझ आता है कि वो जानबूझ के आपको अटकाते हैं उस प्रोसेस में, उस पाइपलाइन में, कि आप गिव अप कर जाओ और छोड़ जाओ। बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वो कस्टमर तो लूज हो गया, राइट? सो योर कस्टमर is God. Your customer will make you or break you. So it's important for you to have a great customer relationship, and that will depend on how the team you have set up takes care of them. You need to take care of them like family. It's very, very important that you're a customer centric business. And then you need to embrace innovation, like I highlight in all my talks. एक वक्त था रेडियो था, एक वक्त था टीवी था, एक वक्त था टेलीफोन था, एक वक्त था कैमरा था, बट अब ये सारी चीजें इररेलेवेंट हो गई है क्योंकि वो सब एक चीज के अंदर आ गई है, राइट? We have everything in just this one small device. So your business idea needs to evolve and embrace innovation as and when you grow in life. A very simple example is Kodak. Kodak invented camera, but they never took up the digital camera because they were too confident about the fact that their um, camera with a reel or with a film would still do well, and today they do not exist. So it's exactly how Apple also wants to come up with an electric car. I'm sure all of you must have heard that Apple is in the works of coming up with an electric car, or how they recently released a VR glasses, which are going crazy around the world. So you need to understand that if you're not relevant as per the time, then you're not present. So it's very important for you to continuously innovate. And by innovation, that could mean कि आप अलग अलग किस्म के टूल्स यूज कर सकते हैं. आप देखिए, द बिगेस्ट करंट रेवोल्यूशन इज आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, राइट? सो you can use artificial intelligence, but not to the extent that you depend on it. So the artificial intelligence could help you become more efficient in terms of, say, running your services or your business. Or the same way, there are many other tools available, like we're using Zoom right now to access this meeting. Same way, you can use so many other automation based tools to run in your company to help you innovate. So it's important for you to bring in that innovation and never stop, because survival of the fittest, right? As Darwin highlighted, and he's still not around us, and his saying is pretty much relevant in today's time. Moving on to the next most important part, it's very, very important for you to adapt to local culture and preferences. What preferences I might have in Delhi would be different in Gandhinagar compared to what it would be in Bangalore. So you need to understand the diversity of the culture, the languages, the consumer preferences. You need to customize your marketing messages and product offerings to resonate with the local different regional markets. I mean, if I have to give you an idea, you could come up with an AI tool that could probably be, regionalizing languages across India. That I am speaking in Hindi and it could automatically translate it in English, right? So, and that's a brilliant idea in itself because it's solving the biggest problem, since we speak around 25 plus different languages, which, and there must be many others. So how do you simplify? Because communication is the way to connect with people. That was an example. However, it's up to you. If you can come up with something similar, that would definitely define a society. Since we are digitally connected, my next point is leveraging the digital marketing. It's important to harness the power of digital marketing, because that is how you will reach to your consumer. चाहे हम हो या हमारे माता पिता हो या हमारे छोटे भाई हो या बहन हो, वो सब आजकल फोन में लगे हुए हैं. उन सब के पास सोशल मीडिया है. रोज सुबह सबको गुड मॉर्निंग मैसेज आते हैं घर से, आते ही होंगे व्हाट्सएप पे, राइट? फैमिली के ग्रुप्स
Yeah.
बने हुए हैं, कैसे अंकल आंटी सारे लगे रहते हैं. सो वो भी अडेप्ट किया उन लोगों ने टेक्नोलॉजी को लेके. सो इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू कनेक्ट विद योर कंज्यूमर थ्रू द पावर ऑफ इंटरनेट. So it's important for you to digitize. COVID was a very, very big example, and that is also a time when one of our companies really boomed because we were advocating for a lot of SMEs and MSMEs to digitize themselves, whereas they were very adamant कि नहीं भाई साहब, हमें दुकान में ही बैठने में मजा आता है. बट अगर आप देखो, आप कितने भी किराने की दुकान है, वो सब ब्लिंकिट के थ्रू, वो सब जोमेटो के थ्रू, विच इज ओन, ब्लिंकिट इज ओन्ड बाय जोमेटो, एंड देन अदर सच सिमिलर ऑनलाइन डिलीवरी मॉडल्स. उनको रियलाइज हुआ कि अगर हम अडेप्ट नहीं करेंगे तो हम सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाएंगे. सो इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू यूज द डिजिटाइजेशन. एंड देन आई फील द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज टू स्टे फाइनेंशियली डिसिप्लिन्ड. अगर आपको फंडिंग मिल गई है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है आप जाते ही एक लैम्बोर्गिनी खरीद लो, या फिर एक बढ़िया फैंसी सा एक पेंट हाउस खरीद लिया आपने. वो पैसे आपके नहीं है, वो पैसे आपको इन्वेस्टर ने दिए हैं ताकि आप एक दिन उसे इंटरेस्ट के समेत, प्रॉफिट के समेत वापस करो, so that you are also able to, in a way, increase the valuation of your company, because you are running a company on a public fund. So it's important for you to not have financial leakages in your company. You have to be very disciplined. जैसे आप लोग, I'm sure, how many of you are living in the hostel? Could you please raise your hands? Majority of you. So आप लोग को एक लिमिटेड बजट मिलता होगा, राइट? से अगर आपको 10,000 रुपए महीने का खर्चा मिलता, अगर आपने 2 दिन में उड़ा दिए, वो 28 दिन क्या करोगे आप? सो सेम वे, जैसे आप महीने का बजट डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, वैसे ही आपको कंपनी में जो बजट दिया जाता है, इवन दो यू एज अ फाउंडर don't necessarily have to be smart financially. You can always hire a financial analyst or a financial advisor or a CFO to help you out with that. Important for you to be financially very very disciplined, because आपके यहाँ पैसों की कमी हमेशा रहेगी जब तक आप उस ब्रेक इवन पॉइंट पे नहीं पहुंचते या नेक्स्ट राउंड आप रेज नहीं करते हैं, बिकॉज आपके पास जनता का पैसा है और जनता को वो पैसा एक दिन वापस करना है, और आप धंधा करने आए हैं तो आपको तो पैसे कमाने हैं ना. So it's very important to do that. And my next point is your network is your net worth. Right now we are networking only in a way, and that network is definitely going to help you one fine day to reach to a destination, because that network could also help you meet right kind of people, whether to find a mentor, whether to find your potential investor or a partner or a co-founder. It's not necessary that you will find a co-founder in your college, and आपका best friend आपका co-founder नहीं हो सकता हर बार. I know हम सब ने बचपन में सोचा था कि हमारा बेस्ट फ्रेंड ही हम उसके साथ कंपनी खोलेंगे, बट there could always be a dispute, right? So you need to also be very emotionally disconnected with your company. You need to understand that company is a legal entity. And it's not your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You are working for the company. So it's very important to be detached. You have to take very practical decisions in life. So coming back to the network part, you need to meet the industry peers. You need to start networking from now onwards. I'm sure some of you would like to connect with me over on LinkedIn, and I would be very, very happy to answer any of your questions in the near future. So you can start by networking, say on LinkedIn, and then you can start by attending network fairs if they're happening in your city. And I'm sure startup fair is happening right now in your college, right? So that's a big opportunity for you to meet students from other departments, to meet learned speakers or guests who are coming in from other states, leaders who are coming in, meet them, interact with them, but at the same time try and maintain a discipline. You cannot ask them for their personal numbers. You need to have the right approach. You need to understand how to go about networking with them. So these are some of the disciplinary things that you need to follow. For example, if you come up to me, you can't be like, sir, I need $2 million. Can you give it to me? I won't, right? So the same way, you need to build it up. Maybe a year down the lane, after we have a great professional relationship, after networking, then you could, eventually gradually come up to a point and be like, sir, this is my business idea. Could you help me understand whether it's going to do really well in the society or not? If you think so, would you be able to mentor me? Or would you be able to give me seed funding? This is the right way to approach it. And not like, sir, पैसे दे दो, it's not that easy. हमारे पास तो पैसा आसानी से नहीं आया, तो आपके पास कैसे आ जाएगा? So these are some of the things that you need to remember. और no's तो आप सोचो बहुत सारे मिलने वाले हैं आपको. You'll get 90% of the times you'll get a no. And 10% of the times you'll get a yes. So you need to stay resilient. That is where I come to the part. Trust me, startup ecosystem is going to be mentally taxing on all of you. You will go through stress, you will go through anxiety, you will go through failures, you will go through losses. But if you're not going to accept the challenges and setbacks along the startup journey, then this journey is not for you. So with that point, I would like to highlight, not all of you tuned in today need to have a startup. You could always get hired in a brilliant company. Some of the richest people globally who are heading companies are in the service industry. So please have the right balance, have the right mindset. Don't be under any pressure that just because somebody else is doing it, I also need to do it. No, it may not be a cup of tea for you. So that's very very important. Then coming to the part where our wonderful government has laid foundation for the startup ecosystem in India, where they're giving you opportunities to raise funds without going to an investor. You could always get yourself registered with, say, Atal Incubation. You could always pitch your ideas there. So stay up to date with the government initiatives, because वो आपको benefit दे सकता है. because I have mentored a lot of companies, a lot of founders, and let me assure you, they have benefited. Don't be someone who has an excuse that, the government approach is a little difficult, but trust me, that is the right approach, because they are setting up ways for you to get benefited out of it. But if you're not capable enough, so obviously you will not be able to gain the subsidy or the initiative funding or anything for that matter that the government has done. And last but not the least, before we'll start taking questions from each one of you, it's important for you to give back to the community. As in, when your startup grows, it's important to give back by supporting social causes, by mentoring other aspiring and entrepreneurs like I am doing it. I love doing this. I love having a discussion with young minds, because I know amongst you all, whoever I'm pointing the finger at, you definitely are the future of this beautiful country. And I'm sure maybe in a year or two, or maybe few years, I might bump into you, and you would have the most successful startup in the country. So please remember to share your knowledge, remember to contribute, because at the end of the day, we also need to develop our nation. We also need to make our country proud globally. So on that note, I would like to say thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions. Admin, should we open up the panel?
Yes, sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your brilliant piece of advice and your brilliant knowledge. And I hope this will help a lot of people. And personally, it helps me a lot. So now we will be taking all the questions.
Perfect. Your chat section, is it open for people? Yeah, it's open for people.
Yes, sir.
Let me start by saying hi. Okay, if anybody's shy. Okay,
In fact, I have a question, sir. Like,
please.
I have heard
Can you
about you,
introduce
and
yourself, because your name is showing up as admin?
okay,
I'm
I am
sure that
Rupok.
is not a registered name, right?
Yeah, actually, it's from the Student Activity Center. I'm Rupok Banerjee.
Okay, okay.
So,
Wonderful. Finally, we're speaking, right?
yeah, in
Please,
fact,
please, Rupak, feel free to ask me the question.
sure. Like, I have heard a lot about that, about the marketing side. So, there are a lot of marketing techniques like affiliate, performance marketing. So, as a startup, there are a lot of options, and we have to select among them.
Hmm.
So, how to go for it? Like, with what aspects should we keep in mind while going for it?
See, it will all depend on what product you have. So if you don't mind telling me what your product is, because
Mm,
the
mhm,
affiliate marketing will highly depend on your product, because affiliate marketing is done when direct marketing does not work. You
okay.
hire other people to sell your product on your behalf, whom you give percentages for every sales they make.
Mm.
So depending on your product, the affiliate would work. And coming to the other marketing, which was performance based, which definitely means could be Google ads, could be social media ads, could be offline ads, could be newspaper ads. So you need to understand how unique your product is and how the approach needs to be taken. What if your product is a business to business product? Then your ads or your affiliate marketing would make more sense. Say, for example, if your product is so difficult for people to understand, that you will only need to use the affiliate way to go through it, because that affiliate network brings in a set of people amongst themselves. So these are the things that you need to keep in mind.
So, if we give an example, like for the old age people, services for old age people, so how should we go for it?
So since the old age people would not be taking up the service, it would be their children, right? So you have to target their children. So now the strategy that you're taking is that your target audience would be the children who would be in the service class or in the business family background. So you would start advertising it on, say, LinkedIn, or the keywords that you would be using, say, elder care, or whatever the services are there in the elder care industry. So initially, I would say you should, since in elder care, you wouldn't need affiliate marketing. You need direct marketing, because we all are on social media. We are all going through Instagram. We are all going through Facebook. We are all using LinkedIn. Google is listening to us, and it gives us those ads. They are customized, right? So I would suggest that you should use direct marketing, which could be performance marketing, rather than using affiliate, because affiliate would not have a set of network that would be exposing you to the elderly market, because it's a relatively new industry.
Surely. Thanks a lot, sir.
So I have a question.
Yes, Harsh, please go ahead. But can I take Manvendra's question first because he had typed it? So his
Yes,
question
sure.
is, if someone is trying to get into a sector which is very new for him and he has a product idea, what should be his strategy for the research work in that particular sector? So Manvendra, can you give me the name of the sector? Because then because I've already covered that section, but if you can give me the sector, I'll be better.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Let us assume that I have read about your startup idea of samosa.
Hmm.
Suppose someone wants to open a samosa shop in the state of Gujarat.
Hmm.
So he or she would have to research about samosa in every state and should be able to come up with all the new variation. So what would be the strategy? Because like a samosa is a very small or very found in every mithai shop or any other small shop.
Yeah.
So to make a big company or a big brand, what should be the strategy for the research work in that such a small product,
Hmm. So
which is
the sector would be food industry for you, right?
yeah. Let's take the example of food
Yeah. So
industry
you
only.
had to say food industry. You cannot
Uh,
use the word. I know. I know. So in that aspect, see, we are aggregating. Our business is aggregation. And since it's the most commonly consumed product, how we are different is we are giving you quality. We are giving you standardization. Every piece will weigh 25 grams. We are giving you a chart which involves calorific value. We are also saying that these are the elements that are there in the product, which you may be allergic to. Right. So what happens when the consumer sees that we are treating them like a god and we are giving them, say, information that they earlier did not know about, they feel more loved. And samosa is the most consumed product in our country right now. And how many of you had samosa in the last 2 weeks? And I'm sure all of us did. I only had it yesterday. So my point is, कॉफी तो हम पहले भी पीते ही थे ना, चाय तो पहले पीते ही थे, अब सडनली चायोस पे जाके पीते हैं या स्टारबक्स पे जाके पीते हैं जस्ट बिकॉज इट हैज अ ब्रांडिंग अराउंड इट. We have beautified it. So it's important for you to understand that you're not reinventing the wheel, you're just enhancing. As I said, you have to bring in innovation. So you need to continuously keep innovating even though the product is pretty much the same. What we have done is we have innovated it. We have standardized it. We have brought in licensing in it. We are paying taxation to the government, whereas the vendor or the thela wala was not paying taxation to the government. It's a highly irregulated market. So for us, we took the opportunity to regulate it. And trust me, the last 6 years have not been easy for us because we are doing the work on the part of the vendor, the thela wala. The thela wala is not used to taking up a license. The thela wala is not used to paying taxation. He is not used to registering a company. उसको तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है ना, वो तो आराम से 2-3 लाख रुपए कमाता है, भाग जाता है. But for us, the battle is from the government side as well as from the vendor side as well as, and in the middle, we're trying to keep the consumer happy. I hope Manavendra that answered your question.
yeah, that answers very well.
Most welcome. Who's the next
Yes,
person? Harsh, please.
sir, like in today's world, the many aspiring entrepreneurs are struggling with the fundraising process. So, what are the advice would you give to the startup seeking investment, especially in competitive markets?
So can you tell me what is the product or the service or the company that you would like to raise the money with? Because funding now बहुत product sensitive होती है,
Yes,
industry
sir.
specific होती है.
I
तो
have not a hardware product. I have only the software on which
क्या?
I have to generate revenue.
हम्म. तो
It's
आपके
already
केस में,
so much competitive.
हाँ, तो मैं आपको जवाब देता हूँ. अगर आप देखोगे तो आप अगर एक कंपेटिटिव एनालिसिस करते हैं तो समझो अगर आपका आइडिया है तो आपको दिखाना है कि आपके यूजर बेस कितने हैं, आपका रिटेंशन कितना है. रिटेंशन का मतलब ये है कि आपकी ऐप पे या सॉफ्टवेयर पे कितने कंज्यूमर रिटेन होते हैं हर महीने, हर 4 महीने, 6 महीने, 1 साल. क्योंकि इन्वेस्टर देखता है कि जो आपका सब्सक्रिप्शन मॉडल है उस पर कितनी बार कंज्यूमर रिन्यू कर रहा है और आपके कंज्यूमर कितने रिटेन हो रहे हैं, आपकी जो सर्विस है वो किस टाइप की है, क्या वो सोसाइटी में वो प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन प्रोवाइड कर रही है. देन कम्स टू द पार्ट दैट कि आपका जो फाइनेंशियल जो स्टेटमेंट है या आपकी बैलेंस शीट है वो कितनी हेल्दी है, आपका जो ग्राफ है क्या वो स्टेडली इनकम जनरेट कर पा रहा है, क्या आप अपने एम्प्लॉयज को टाइम पे सैलरी दे पा रहे हैं, क्या आपका यूजर बेस जो इस महीने 100 था अगले महीने 200 हो पा रहा है। ये नेसेसरली नहीं है कि आप सडनली 200 से 2 लाख कंज्यूमर ले आए। तो हम देखते हैं कि इस प्रोडक्ट की रेलेवेंस कितनी है अगले से 5 साल में। तो अगर हम आपकी वैल्यूएशन भी देखते हैं, क्या आपकी वैल्यूएशन लेजिटिमेट है, क्या आपने ओवर वैल्यूएट तो नहीं कर रखा उसको, आप कहीं ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट तो नहीं है, क्या आपके नंबर सही हैं। एंड देन वी ऑल्सो विल गो इन टू द निटी ग्रिटी के आपका बैकग्राउंड चेक किया जाएगा एज अ पर्सन, कि आपका कोई क्रिमिनल बैकग्राउंड तो नहीं है। आई नो अ लॉट ऑफ यू माइट नॉट नो दैट सरप्राइजिंगली दीज थिंग्स विल बी कंसिडर्ड बिकॉज we don't want our money to be in a startup that may face backlash in the future. So it's very important for you to do your own background checks, do your employees background checks, and then many other things, you know, how good your customer ratings are online. um, I think these are some of the very common things that we consider. But financially भी आपका deep cleaning होगा, क्या आपने taxes भरे हैं, क्या आपने जो revenue projection दिया है क्या वो सच्ची है झूठी है, कहीं आपने reviews fake तो नहीं डाले हैं, आजकल बहुत हो रहा है। क्या आपकी जो sales हुई थी वो right channel से हुई थी, or I think these are most of the crucial findings that we do. Then the second phase is a little too intricate, which I feel will complicate it for you. But to begin with, these are some of the most important points that you should keep in mind.
Yes.
Any other questions do we have? Sharmao Mat.
Yes, sir. I have a question too. So I would like to ask now, as we are in the post-pandemic era, so how do you think the startups has changed from before the pandemic and after the pandemic? What is the like change in the nature of the startup and how they go about?
देखो लैंडस्केप तो सेम ही थी. The only difference is that a lot of people who were not prepared. So you need to remember that, you know, pandemic definitely gave us all a jolt. That you know, it taught us that we survived, and this was the biggest pandemic in all the history of the pandemics, right? Just because we had the internet access, we had enough money to survive, we had entertainment with us, it does not mean that we didn't suffer losses as heavily as the last pandemic did. But at least the generation to come understands that how would you as a startup be able to maneuver. Now you know that you need to be financially so stable that आप फजूल खर्ची नहीं कर सकते. आपको फाइनेंशियल लीकेजेस ठीक करनी है. योर प्रोडक्ट नीड्स टू बी पैंडेमिक aware, not pandemic proof, because nothing can be pandemic proof, is what we learned in the last 2 years. But if you understand and if you see the current trends, all the companies that scaled during the pandemic are now struggling heavily. Look at Byju's. So Byju's didn't understand that कि 2 साल 3 साल चलो 4 साल भी अगर पैंडेमिक चलता, ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन मॉडल तो हमेशा नहीं चलने वाला था. But then they suddenly went into the brick and mortar offline model, which meant their capital investment went really high. So their capex was really high. So they ended up spending money in a direction that did not make sense, like getting Lionel Messi on board. Does getting Lionel Messi make sense for an Indian audience? I'm sure maybe thousands of people in India know about football, but cricket is our religion, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is decision making like this, which is why, you know, I highlighted initially that the kind of team, the kind of leadership that there is in the company is going to help you. So, but after pandemic, a lot of companies who are bootstrapped are doing really well. Physics Wala is a great example, right?
Yes.
Even though they are pretty much in the same model as Byju's, but they're doing really, really well. And to someone who earlier asked me how to go about raising funds, please don't depend on raising funds. अगर आपको अपने ऊपर विश्वास और भरोसा नहीं है तो आप हमसे कैसे विश्वास और भरोसा लोगे. अगर आप क्राउड सोर्स नहीं कर पा रहे पैसे, आप अगर आप क्राउड फंड नहीं कर पा रहे, अगर आप लोन नहीं ले पा रहे, इसका मतलब आपको अपने बिजनेस पे भरोसा नहीं है. सो my request to others is please do not rely on funding, please don't rely on investors, because the landscape is changing. जितना आप कम इन्वेस्टर पे रिलाय करोगे उतना आपकी डाइल्यूशन कम होगी। आप अगर 5 साल तक वेट कर लोगे और आपकी वैल्यूएशन इतनी अच्छी जाएगी, क्या पता जहां पहले 25% दे रहे थे आपको खाली 5% देना पड़े। So it's strategies like these that help you understand. And coming back to the whole pandemic aspect of it, uh, I mean, I'm glad that you raised this question, and at the same time, I'm also glad that the pandemic happened in a time where we could not, feel the brunt in such a heavy way, because in the current times, the world is small thanks to the internet, the kind of availability of tools we have. So a lot of companies ended up going in an offline mode, work from home. So अगर ये इंटरनेट ना होता, अगर जूम ना होता या जूम जैसे टूल्स ना होते, तो प्रोबेबली सारी कंपनी शट डाउन हो जाती। एटलीस्ट इससे हमें ये तो पता चला कि हम घर से काम कर सकते थे। सो दिस इज माय आंसर टू यू। आई होप आई वाज एबल टू आंसर यू। इफ नॉट, देन यू प्लीज फील फ्री टू टेल मी।
Yes, sir. I understood everything.
Thank you. So I'll take the next question, which is by one Shirastogi. Building and leading effective teams is essential for startup success. What qualities do you look for when assembling a team? And how do you foster a culture of collaboration and innovation within? So, see, you need to understand that to build an effective team, you need to have a mix of people who are risk takers, who are also calculative in nature. क्योंकि सारी उंगलियां एक साइज की तो नहीं है ना। You need to have people who are very analytical. You need to have people who are hard working. अब डिपेंड करता है, अगर आप कोर टीम में ले रहे हैं, अगर आपकी टेक बेस्ड कंपनी है, तो आपको जो कोडर चाहिए, that he needs to be able to code really well, right? So you will be a better judge. I won't be. As an investor, I'll tell you, listen, you are a coder. It's better you take a call, you take a, an answer on that, because I am not a coder. But I would say that why does he deserve to be paid a lakh and a half if he's asking for it? And if he comes with a good amount of experience, the kind of companies he's worked with, and these are some of the things that you can keep in mind. And how do you build that culture of collaboration? Because you as a leader need to be available at the grassroots level. आपको बॉस नहीं बनना है। आपने देखा है कि बहुत सारी कंपनीज में कैबिन फ्री ऑफिस एनवायरनमेंट है। वो इसलिए रखा जाता है ताकि जो एम्प्लॉइज है वो अपने आपस में इंटरेक्शन कर सके, वो एक बॉन्ड बिल्डिंग हो। तो उसके लिए बॉन्ड बिल्डिंग एक्सरसाइजेस की जाती है, where they take them for an off-site. They hire people to make them go through these activities that help them break the ice, because a lot of employees are hesitant to talk. They are antisocial, they are introverts. So you as a founder need to be available, reachable to your employees. That is how you can foster it. And how do you have a retention model so that your employees don't leave it? अगर आप उनको बेस्ट एनवायरनमेंट दे रहे हो, जैसे गूगल देता है, खाना भी मिल रहा है वहां पे, they have gaming arenas, they have sleeping areas, they have they have the best food that there is. तो अगर आपको ऑफिस में ही सब कुछ मिल रहा है, तो घर जाने का मन किसका करेगा, राइट? सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द वेरी कॉमन थिंग्स दैट यू कुड कीप. एंड देन देर आर थिंग्स लाइक यू कुड ऑलवेज have bonuses. You could always have targets where they end up achieving their projects, and you could give them something. So that is the best way. And I highlighted initially also that your employees are your investment. So you need to keep that in mind. And if you treat them like that, they will never leave the company. And you could always have an option of ESOPs as well, if you think that you're not able to give them the right amount of salary, or you could have a lock-in period with them. There are many things that you will eventually understand, but to water it down for you, these are some of the very common things that you can, bring in. And I am happy to take another question.
So, sir, as currently all of us are in college, and in the beginning you talked about like how not to give up on the idea of a job. So, how to go about both the ideas? Like both the ideas are somewhat very polar to each other, and it might be difficult to carry on both the ideas. So, what is your take on
So, because I started at 16, where I was in school, I made sure I finished my college. I'm just a graduate. I haven't even done my master's. I've done a couple of courses in summer schooling. मुझे इतना पता था कि मुझे एक सेफ्टी नेट और बैकअप प्लान चाहिए। अगर see, to clear an IIT exam is not a joke in itself, right? You are in a very prestigious institution, so I would highly advise, आप जल्दी किस जल्दी में हो यार? आपकी एज कितनी है अभी बताओ?
18.
Exactly. 20 साल बड़ा हूं मैं आपसे, सोचो। तो मेरा कहने का मकसद ये है कि डोंट हैव फोमो, fear of missing out. First finish your education. It's very important to have that safety net. अगर आपका स्टार्टअप नहीं चला, at least that startup can add on to your experience and you can take up a job. I know कल्चर बदल रहा है जहाँ पे लोगों को हायर किया जा रहा है जो लोग पढ़ाई के बैकग्राउंड से नहीं है, बट वो परसेंटेज बहुत छोटा है. So please don't rely on that. What you can do is you can simultaneously work on your business model. You can start it very small where you already have a job, but at the same time you have to be honest to the company you're being hired by. You have to tell them, sir, ma'am, I have a startup that I'm working on the side, but my attention and my priority is to give you first, and then in my free time back home I will work on my startup. So that is the approach I have for you, Anurag.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Anyone else? How about you, Yashasvi, since I think we missed on the joke that you were laughing on? Chalo, your punishment is that you have to ask a question. I think she's exited the chat, right?
Yes, actually, in IIT, there's a custom like every student have to stay in hostel, like all
Okay.
the entire batch.
Okay.
So
Does anyone else? Simran, would you like to ask a question? Darshil, Ansh, Garima, Vishal, Arjun, Soham, Vansh, Krishna, Akash. No? We have only 3 minutes left, man. Come on. You're getting a free advice without paying me a penny to, probably have the next big successful startup in your life. Come on. We're counting the minutes. Anybody else? Okay. देखो, I would suggest you Atomic Habits, Simran. And please, I want you to ask this question on the mic because ये जो झिझक है ना आप सब में, जो शर्म है, अगर ये आप हटाओगे नहीं, आप ग्रो नहीं कर पाओगे. So Simran, please switch on your mic. You have to ask me this question directly. I want you to build this confidence.
Sir,
आप हिंदी में भी पूछ सकते हैं, आपको इंग्लिश में बात करने की जरूरत नहीं है.
can you tell about some books you got inspired by?
मैं तो देखो बचपन से तो नहीं पढ़ता आ रहा हूँ, वक्त के साथ साथ पढ़ रहा हूँ. मैं आपको सजेस्ट करूंगा एटॉमिक हैबिट्स, क्योंकि आप अभी ऐसी एज पे है जहाँ पे एक आप अभी एक मिट्टी के घड़े की तरह है. अभी आप शेप हो रहे हैं, तो आपको इस दिमाग को उस डायरेक्शन में शेप करना है. सो आप एटॉमिक हैबिट्स पढ़िए ताकि आप वो हेल्दी हैबिट्स बना सके लाइफ में, जो आपको लाइफ लॉन्ग लास्ट करेंगी. And then I would say you should read Homo Sapiens and Homo Deus because it will help you understand the human psyche, human psychology. These are the leadership related books, and why I would ask you to read fiction, because fiction helps you understand the future. A lot of fiction books that predicted things that have happened now were written some years ago, right? I am a big fiction fan, and AI is something that I read 10 years ago, and I always was excited. I am a geek. I'm a nerd for space. So space may soon become a reality. So read fiction, read self-help books, and read say one book which is from your industry which you would like to enter.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Most welcome, Simran. What about you, Rupak? Do you want to ask anything?
yes, sir, surely. Like I have a question. It's like when do we know that we need money to expand? Like it happens when you are in a team, and if you do the thing, you know that you will do it in a perfect way and the best way possible. But if you give someone else to do it, you will not have the complete confidence. Maybe not the complete with like you will do it by your own heart and everything. You will give your everything to it, and the other person will not give his 100%. In fact, there's a like line saying like employees don't give the 100%. They generally give 30%, and you have to always keep them motivated because it's your company. They are not like
But that
getting
sentiment is changing, pata hai? That's what I was trying to highlight. The day you tell them you're an investment to us, they will change. See, there would be, say, 5% of element of those employees who are not serious, but 95% are serious. So you need to take that chance. See, startup in itself is such a big risk, no? So if you're not a risk taker, then you're not. See, there's a saying, higher the risk, higher the gain. So you need to start giving them that authority, ना? ये तो वही बात हो गई ना, रूपक के आपको अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं दी जा रही, आप वेट कर रहे हो, आप वेट कर रहे हो, क्योंकि आप भी अंदर से चिल्ला रहे हो कि आप मुझे मौका नहीं दे रहे हो. तो why wouldn't the employee also in the company think, यार मुझे तो मौका ही नहीं दे रहा है मेरे टीम लीडर, मेरे मैनेजर्स, मेरे सीईओ. जब तक आप उन्हें लीडर नहीं बनाओगे. सो I, as a leader, want to make more leaders in my company, and I don't want to restrict them ke they should only be working for me. I motivate them to start their own company some fine day, and it's their call. If they want to stick around, they don't want to stick around. See, people will come and go. You need to understand that. That's why I raised the question of, you need to disconnect from your company. You need to stop being emotionally involved. And it's completely understandable, this question, and I'm glad you raised it. So your answer is, don't be emotionally involved. Paisa is 1 plus 1, 2, not 1 plus 1 is 11. So take a call mathematically, you will have mathematical outcomes. Losses to dekho hote hi hain. Zomato finally, after so many years, has finally shown profits, right? So that's a strategy you got to use. You need to be smart enough. You can ask these questions to your CFO if you don't have the financial understanding, just to understand, but don't get involved in finances. If you're a techie, just stick to tech. Don't do anything else.
Surely, sir, just to continue, like, will you go for a person who is quite hardworking but not that skillful? Like I ask it a lot of times, or should we go for a skillful person but not that hardworking? Like sometimes people who are quite skillful generally don't, like, not always, like generally tends to not like show their
They're
hard work.
lazy, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, does not matter, yeah. If I gave you a project and if you're able to do it in less than the stipulated time and you're lazy, that's okay. Because you're a smart worker, no? You don't necessarily need to be like, sir, मैंने 10 घंटे लगा के किया है इसको. It does not matter. For me, people pleasing is something that I'm against. So, Rupak, if you're at the end of the day able to achieve it, that's all that matters. And, Bill Gates had a very beautiful saying that lazy people make the most smart people, right? And he would always hire lazy people because they would find the shortest way of doing it, the fastest way of doing it. But at the same time, don't let this be an excuse to be lazy. Competition बहुत heavy है. आप नहीं तो कोई और आपकी रोटी मार के ले जाएगा. तो जितना जल्दी आप ये समझ जाओगे उतना अच्छा है आपके लिए. देखो, बिना हार्ड वर्क के कुछ नहीं होना है. ऐसा नहीं है मैंने आंखें बंद करी, सर पे ऐसा रखा और मैं माउंट एवरेस्ट चढ़ गया. उसमें तो आपको पैर चलाने पड़ेंगे. But there are some skills where you don't need physical work, you need mental work, and that smartness maybe would help you do the same task that somebody else may not be able to do it in 2 days, and you do it in 2 hours. I for example, sometimes our clients ask us, sir, why are you charging us so much? So I tell them, जो task आपको नहीं करना आ रहा उसको मुझे लगे 20 साल सीखने में, वही टास्क मेरी कंपनी आपको 2 घंटे में करके दे सकती है. So it's also something that will come with time. Maybe today you will have to learn it the hard way, but in the coming years you will not have to do it the hard way, you will do it the smart way. So it's just how the food chain works. It's how the nature works. Evolution.
True. Like sometimes at night, or like startups require some urgent decisions or some quick actions.
That's
So
where you
maybe-
pivot, no?
Exactly. And maybe the lazy worker will not be available late nights to do that work. He will give excuses. Or she.
Don't hold that against the employees, man. Like, वो ना आगे पहुंचेगा ही नहीं लाइफ में कहीं. वो हमेशा ना नीचे ही रहेगा फिर. तो वो उसका नुकसान है ना. So remember, everybody is replaceable. I am, you are, all of you are here. So if you don't understand that now, I'm sorry, आप ना फिर उसी 60% में रह जाओगे, जो hand to mouth में, यहाँ सैलरी आई यहाँ गया, यहाँ सैलरी आई यहाँ गया. You will not be able to live in a nice house. You will not be able to provide for your family. You will not be able to. So अगर उनको realize नहीं होता, ये आपकी problem नहीं है. You should just change that employee, get a new one. So always have that contingency plan in place. So that's why we call that, that risk analysis, that contingency needs to be in place. Why do you think when you get hired by Apple or by Google, they give you a laptop, they give you a bag, they give you so many things? Because they want to make you excited so that you stick around, right? So you have to come up with such strategies, continuously keep evolving.
Surely, sir. It's great having to talk with you. And yeah, really. And anyone else have any questions?
Please feel free. I'm happy to take up more questions. And by the end of the session, please, Rupak and Anurag, feel free to choose any 5 people. I'm happy to give them a 1 hour free mentorship program in the next month or two. Happy to take up questions one-on-one of any 5 people.
Sure, sir.
You can ask me anything, यार. तुम लोग को जरूरी नहीं है startup related पूछना है यार. You can ask me how my day was. It's okay, chill. तुम लोग कहीं सारे म्यूट लगा के साइड में तो नहीं बैठ गए हो?
No, sir.
ये हुई ना बात हर्ष. बाकी कहाँ है सारे? शैलेंद्र, रावत साहब कहाँ हो गए? आई नो 10 बज गए हैं यार. हसल लाइफ है. Well, I'm going to have my dinner and then I'm going to get back to my work because there is this thing that I believe in ki if you love what you do, then it's never about the day or the night. So even though I love giving talks, I will be busy after this getting back to work because I have another talk tomorrow. I am one of the investors at India's biggest pitching festival, so I want to finish our work before I give 5 hours of my time tomorrow to someone else. So it's like this, जब बचपन में आप स्कूल जाते थे तो आप अगले दिन के लिए यूनिफॉर्म पहले दिन ही रेडी कर लेते थे, बूट की जूते की पॉलिश करके रख लेते थे, टाइम टेबल बना के रख लेते थे. So that is what I'll be doing. I'll be finishing off my work, then I'll make my timetable for tomorrow, what all meetings I have, all the other CEOs who will be reporting to me, what all expectations I have from them, the kind of feedbacks I need to give them for the coming week or the month. So that's what I'll be doing.
Surely, sir. The word of the statement, like network is network. It's
Network is
quite
network.
unique.
Definitely. And the next question is, do you have a fixed sleep schedule? I don't, but please don't fall for that trap. You need to have a fixed sleep schedule because we humans are programmed कि हमें आधी जिंदगी नींद में बितानी है, आधी जिंदगी जाग के बितानी है. तो 12 घंटे सो जाओ या 8 घंटे, बट बाकी के बचे हुए 12-15 घंटे आप कैसे बिताते हो प्रोडक्टिवली, वो आप पे डिपेंड है. और इसका मतलब ये भी नहीं है कि 15 घंटे आप नॉन स्टॉप मशीन की तरह काम कर सकते हो. As Rupak already highlighted, it's the smart work rather than the hard work that would matter. So no, but because मैं वो गलतियां कर चुका हूँ अपनी जिंदगी में जिससे मेरी स्लीप साइकिल खराब हो चुकी है, जिससे मेरे बाल सफेद हो चुके हैं, मेरे बाल जा चुके हैं, मेरी आंखें कमजोर हो चुकी है, वो प्रॉबली वो स्लीपलेस नाइट्स, वो सैक्रिफाइसेस, वो हार्डशिप्स, वो खुद से सीखना उस वजह से हुआ है. सो you should, if you are sacrificing on your sleep, you should always have those power naps during the day because health is your wealth. This is the home that you're living in. If you're not able to take care of this body and this mind, then all this ecosystem is useless and worthless. I am telling you today. So if you're going to start your journey, please take care of your health because that is the right wealth.
So I think it's time to close. So thank you, sir, for all your kind words and wisdom. And I
Thank you
think
so much.
it has provided a roadmap for all of us to begin our journey and be a good entrepreneur.
Thank you
So
so much. And I really enjoyed it. I wish we could have taken some more questions, but I understand it's quite late in the evening. I'm leaving my website behind. You guys are most welcome to come join me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to take anybody's question. I am a very open-minded person, very available to everyone. Please don't think that, I made it in life, so I won't be available. So feel free. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rupak. Thank you, Siddhi. Thank you, Anurag, and all the other people who are involved in the EII community. And I'm hoping to have a physical event someday at the campus so I could meet everybody physically. We could all have a laugh or two, a couple of chais and some samosas. So all the very best and enjoy the startup fair. Thank you so much. And we shall see each other soon. All right. Take care and good night.
Good night, sir.
Sure, Alisha. Thanks again.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And everyone kindly connect with Sir in LinkedIn. He's quite active over there.
Yes.
And
It's also important for all of you to start being active. 50 follower, 50 log nahi matter karte. Your net worth is your network is your network. Remember that. And I hope everybody is going to go back. Please pin your thoughts on LinkedIn. Tag me or don't tag me, that does not matter. But it all starts in the now. Procrastination is bad. Okay. Good luck, guys. See you again. Cheers. Bye-bye.
sure, good night, sir.